Right, let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. And my feet aren't on the ground. My feet are hanging about 2 feet off the ground. So I'm just imagining my feet are in air right now. So you probably don't have your feet in air, but just imagine have your feet flat on the floor about a hip's width apart and feel the weight of your sits bones in the chair, the backs of your legs in the chair, and align your shoulders with your hips and your ears with your shoulders. And just imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just lengthen your spine. And then just go to the crown and release any tension there. Relax the top of the head, relax the forehead, the eyebrows, eyelashes, the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, back of the tongue, the ears, the inner ear, the back of the head, the neck, and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. And relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And then be aware of the sensations of the breath as you inhale and exhale. The nostrils, the chest cavity. And then be aware of any sound in your environment. So again, I seem to have landed in a very, very quiet place. You may have various sounds in your home, outside your home, pets. There may be smells that might be distracting, people. So just allow all of the sounds to be there, all of the distractions to be there. And then trying not to follow with the mind. And it's really difficult. Half the time we don't even know we've been distracted. So then now just bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, your strangers, the ones you don't like so much. And then remember, they're all equal. They all want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. And they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So we think we're going to do this practice this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. And because Eric passed away today, just keep him in your mind. So he may be in the bardo in this intermediate state. And then also keeping in mind our precious Lou and his family and everybody here in this meditation class, and then also the center. All right. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind so we can change that equally by creating positivity instead. So we start with this power of regret. So I was driving Venerable Rabina around today, and I had a teaching in the car about regret. So I wanted to pass that on before I forget it. So she was saying that we tend to get this idea of regret confused, and regret is not guilt. So that was the point, which I make that anyway. But regret is more like when when you accidentally eat the wrong pill, you accidentally eat something you're not supposed to have eaten, or you do something by mistake and you know it's going to harm you. Maybe you had a drink with sugar in it and you didn't mean to, and you're diabetic, and you know it's going to impact you sometime later. And you go, oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't done that. That was a mistake. That is like regret, because you know you're going to suffer later on. So you just kind of, this little section here on regret is all about regretting harm that you have done, because it is going to come back on you at some point. So you don't want to poison yourself with your own actions. So this is what this regret is about. We get into compassion for others in that section on compassion in reliance. But here we're talking mainly about ourselves. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech. And then sort of regret is based on this logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past actions. So having harmed others, we are going to necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So we think, I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And we also regret anger and attachment and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then we think, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance. So here was where we start talking about, anyway, there's the second section on compassion. So refuge, first of all, who are we going to rely on to help us? So we think of Vajrasattva, who has these methods that we can use to purify. And we're not needing Buddha Vajrasattva to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face, and his eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So here we develop compassion. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings. So we need to rely upon other beings that we have harmed and those who have harmed us by developing compassion for them. So think about people you've harmed recently and in the past. And then also think about people who've harmed you and have a wish for them to be free from suffering. So if you've harmed somebody, perhaps it was intentional and maybe you kind of meant to harm them, but you wouldn't be going around feeling sorry for them. But if you did intentionally harm someone, you develop in your heart a wish for them to be free from suffering, that's kind of going to soften that a little bit. And then there's people who've harmed you, and the people who've harmed you, because of the harm they've done to you, it's just going to come back like a boomerang. It's just going to come back and hit them in the head. And the timing of the ripening of their karma is very uncertain. So then we come to this power of remedy, and this is where we do the actual practice of purification. And we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything other than benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadrasapha Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasapha Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadrasapha Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasapha Dina Patita Dida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadrasapha Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasapha Dina Patita Dina Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadrasapha Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasapha Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadrasapha Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasapha Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech, including yourself and including anything you write, like whether it's social media, even something you put up to represent yourself. And then the mind. So Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it happens as instantaneously as walking into a room and flicking on a switch, the light coming. So just as the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness and anger and depression, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, grudges, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sapa Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Savasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sapa Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sattva Ah Hum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And now think there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of our body, speech, and mind. And this time imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. So you imagine the nectar flows down and pushes out all the negativity of the body, and the nectar flows up, pushing out all the negativity of the speech, and then the light comes and just blasts all of your delusions. So in this way, you completely eradicate even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. So, the visualization and the mantra is happening all at the same time. The up, the down, the blasting of the light. Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sapa Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sapa Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sata Ah Hum Pe. So now feel completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And then we come to the resolve. And so this is the fourth and the final step in the purification process. And it's a really crucial one. This is this, determination to refrain from harming with our body and our speech and our mind. And without this determination, without making a decision, we're just going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. So this determination, this aspiration to refrain from harming is like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions. So think about something that you have as a habit that might be harmful to either yourself or others. It could be even as something as subtle as being just very passive. And think about maybe the ways in which that could be harmful. So think of something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. Make it simple. Keep the time short. You don't have to worry about it over and over again all day long. And don't make it too big of a thing. Like if you start with the biggest thing, it's going to be too overwhelming. So start with something simple that you can actually achieve. And then Vajrasattva, imagine, is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So let's just, Rinpoche would recommend to meditate a little bit on emptiness. So in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So however you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I have created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So let's just do our chanting the names of Manjushri. Perfecting all perfections perfectly, adorned by all the grounds of bodhisattvas, the selflessness of pure phenomena, with luster that is moonlight unto knowledge, with great endeavors as illusory nets, the foremost master ruling every tantra, endowed in full with every vajra posture, completely furnished with all wisdom bodies, completely good with intellect supreme, the embryo of earth sustaining beings, great embryo from which all Buddhas form, with emanation circles most diverse. Okay, everybody. Let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, and for a swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for all of your own individual teachers to live long. Okay. Shayla, thank you for hosting. Lots of love for everybody, and I'm not sure if I'll be home in time tomorrow to lead, so maybe you can take turns. Maybe, Shayla, you can just help. All right, everyone. Lots of love. I'll try and get on if I can. And nice to see you all. Okay. Good night, everybody.